Good evening, everyone. This evening we have another celebration of Barefoot Stephen's birthday week. I'm
Yes.
joined by the fabulous Clara Apollo, the Chi Queen of Magic and Miracles. She's also a radio show and podcast host, not to mention a healer of various disciplines. We're in store for some fun meditation exercises as taught to her by Stephen Russell, the Barefoot Doctor. Clara, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much, Danny. Really, really appreciate you asking me in. And to celebrate Stephen, Barefoot Stephen, as I used to call him, and very much keep his chi. It's alive within each of us. I know all of you that are watching, even live or on replay, that part of him is in you as well, because of the way that he connected with us was all about empowering us as individuals to be the chi that we really are. And then we kind of recognize that spark in one another, don't we?
We do. I know when he was creating the AMP series, the AMP trilogy, as I call it, he said
Yes.
his vision was to take us all with him on the up, raising the vibration, raising your consciousness. You did that.
Exactly.
And yeah,
I know. And it's still, there's a sadness, of course, because he's not actually with us anymore. But when we look at his legacy and what he's left us, it's huge. And I know that you've been diving into some of the super healing, yeah? And, there's such a rich, he was absolutely focused on the online courses. I think he knew that his legacy was going to be important for us as we're going through these tumultuous times. And he used to speak about this in his satsangs, didn't he? About the kind of times that we're going through. I mean, goodness knows. I mean, I think we'd all be quite intrigued to know what he'd say about what's going on now. But I think actually you listen to what he was saying then, and it's all ringing really true,
It is, that's right. And he used to say his daily qigong practice was keeping him alive. And I didn't know he meant literally. He meant literally an hour and a half he would do, whether he was traveling, whether he was at home or at a friend's house. You get up as early as necessary, and do it. Before we went live, he would do it, and that's why the technology would always go awry. I couldn't hear him, or I couldn't see him, or he couldn't see me, or he was upside down. Every
Yeah.
time.
This you're right, Danny. This call to personal practice as being your daily health care. It's like, we're used to taking care of our physical needs. We all go to the bathroom when we need to, but do we take care of our energy? And we have to kind of teach ourselves to do that, even though it's really natural. A lot of these movements that we do, some of the internal alchemy we might not be quite aware of until we get into it, and then there's a recognition of this is an intelligent force that is flowing through us that wants to help balance us and re-energize us and enable us to serve from our highest purpose in a way, and also to be able to support us when we're feeling a little bit low and struggling with whatever. There's something there that you can always reach to that's within you and your connection to the cosmos and the earth, and of course the earth is part of the cosmos. And so it's a very valuable lesson from him. And I would just like to, I was digging out some of his books, like you do, because I learn something from them every time. And I just wanted to read something about trust, if you would let me. So this is from the first book that I bought back in the day, total seminal tome. Lent it to my son, and he's like, "What is this?" And this is the one about trust yourself. Now, there is a fantastic track that you can find on Spotify with Barefoot Doctor, and it's called Trust, and I highly recommend it. We could even put a link to it after this, couldn't we?
Yeah.
So he's saying here that trust is a basic warrior instinct, and without it, you're wasting valuable time and energy. Trust isn't a concept in your mind, it's a feeling in your belly, your dantian. So a little story, barefoot story here. You go for a helicopter ride and you're a little nervous, and it's your first time before you climb in, and it's your first time. And before you climb in, you look up at the main propeller and pray it stays attached and keeps turning. And you wonder if the mechanics have tightened all the screws. And taking off, you feel a noticeable adrenaline surge. And now your little metal bubble is flying at full altitude and there's nothing left to do but sit there. Now, every few moments, you wonder about the propeller and the tightness of the screws and whether the pilot knows what he's doing, and your body tenses, but there's nothing you can do to change the situation, and you want to enjoy the ride. So you relax your breathing and you let your body soften a little. You decide to trust the floor to hold you up and to trust the pilot not to have an epileptic fit. Above all, you decide to trust yourself in having chosen this adventure, and you have a top time. On the other hand, you could have decided to remain tense and untrusting, and when you got back home safely, though sickly and staggered out, you'd have wondered why you hadn't let go and enjoyed it, but alas, it was too late. So obviously this is a metaphor for your life. So relax and trust it, or stay tense and waste it. It's probably all predetermined anyway, so stop your being such a scaredy cat and say, I trust myself. So this is big. This trust piece is really big. And he used to, go on about it a lot. And I've kind of translated that into the kind of teachings that I share with the Qi pros, Qigong, and all the other bits about trusting. Whenever you're having a wobble, you just feel like, you just don't know which way to go or whatever, you just are feeling unnerved by things. Then when we can just bring ourselves into that remembrance and trusting that the earth has always supported you, right here and now, the earth is supporting you. And I know it's an obvious thing to say, but when you bring awareness to the obvious, powerful things in your life that help you to come into this salient truth of being, when you trust what is beneath you to hold you, just notice how something just softens, doesn't it? You're like, oh yeah, the earth has held me for this long. Thank you, Mother Earth, and then you offer a deep breath out of gratitude to her, and you recognize you're part of nature. You let yourself sink into her, and it's like there's a whole process that goes on with you energetically when you can surrender into the trust of being held by the planet. Wouldn't you say, Danny?
You meant all of that, yes. You trained with Barefoot, didn't you, as well? You did workshops with him. You hosted some yourself and hosted him.
Got a long and varied connection with the man. And it all started with this book and with his Observer magazine stuff. I started my Qigong training in the mid-90s. And I think this book came out in the late 90s.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Even said he wrote that book to try and find his tribe. That was the purpose of the book. And yeah.
That was exactly. And because I was doing the Qigong training and I'm getting in here and he's like calling it all different names that are really cool. Like the microcosmic orbit is Scoop the Loop. It was like, oh, it feels more like fun when we do it the Barefoot way. Yeah. So I used to bring in his maverick attitude, but the depth of the knowledge that he had would come through anyway. Of course it would, because he was distilling all the trainings that he'd done to make it accessible for us so that we'd want to play this way. Because, there's quite a lot to learn, but I think that's one of his big gifts, is this distillation of the salient truths for us to be able to come in and use them practically for ourselves now.
Yep, for sure. He was so grounded. And as you say, maverick, and those are the things that set him apart. He wasn't, he had reverence and he had respect, but he didn't stand on ceremony. He wasn't, it has to be this way and it has to be that way. And it's like, you've got guidelines and parameters and universal laws, but within that you can find your own way. What works best for you, you can dip in and out and try different things.
That's so right. And he was very anti-guru, wasn't he? He was like, if someone comes across as a guru, run. It's about connecting with the inner guru. And that's what this centering practice is, coming back into your back, that he banged on about over and over again. Like, have you got it yet? Sit in your back. Let me talk you through a thing to help you get into your background presence. And I remember once asking him about this, the background presence and the foreground stuff that goes, everyday life, the dramas, so to speak. And I said, well, but we're obviously living in this drama and everyday life, but we're in the background presence as well. I said, do you think we can be in both at once? And he said a fascinating thing. He said, no, I think we oscillate. And I'm like, oh, interesting. And I'm like, within the oscillation is the awareness of both aspects. And I get this. So one of the flows that I work with all the time is the infinity flow, the figure of 8. And so rather than thinking of the background presence as separate from the foreground, they are connected with this loop, with this infinity flow, in my humble opinion, so that it's not about ignoring what's happening out front. It's about being aware of it and choosing not to get pulled too far into the front, and to start to nurture what it feels like to sort of sit in your throne, as he might say, in your big, comfortable, padded armchair.
Yeah.
A really lovely thing to imagine. We can imagine it now. I'm actually standing, but I can imagine like a bit behind me, something behind me just holding me. So I want to kind of sink back.
Yeah, and even when you're in the turbulence of the forebrain, and sometimes things don't seem to work, doesn't matter what you do, you keep getting pulled into the turbulence. Like, for example, last night when I went to bed, I was feeling quite melancholy. I thought, that's okay. So I just turned off the melancholy thoughts and just sat in that melancholy energy. And it seemed to go all of its own. I didn't have to do anything as such. I just didn't get dragged into the thoughts. Yeah, I just felt the emotions of it.
Yeah, that's lovely that you mentioned that. It's not about bypassing the difficult feelings. It's about letting them be, letting them flow through you, but not getting too engaged with the discord of it. About going, no, there's something wants to come through me here. It's energy in motion, and it's watching it with compassion for your human self, and knowing that it will find its way through. And if you bring in, I don't know if you use affirmations or other sort of ways of being or energy flows or things, but something that brings you back into your inner compass, your inner truth of being, that is your soul. And I don't know if it was him that was saying, probably he was saying that when you die, you don't realize how much of you is actually a spiritual being, because you're so in your physicality, because you are so enamored by the feelings and the sensations and the viewings. But actually this background presence piece is where you really sit in your eternal presence of being. And I thought that was a fascinating thing to drop into a conversation, is like, you don't realize how spiritual you're being all the time, because you're so occupied with what's happening in the front. So hence that call to be in the back.
Yeah, and I don't know of anyone who's in the back all the time.
No.
If it's even possible, maybe if you're a monk meditating for 8 hours a day up in Mount wherever, in a monastery. But for us, yes, for us mere mortals down here on the earth, playing with families and jobs and all the rest of it, bills to pay, I don't know if it's even possible, or would it be boring? I don't know.
Well, I mean, whilst we're here, and one of the things he used to speak about was that, we are the miracle, and we are it's such a miracle that you exist, but it's so quick, this earthly existence, enjoy it while it's here, bring in all the aspects, weave, knit, crochet them all together in your own tapestry of life, but let your spiritual nature be a very clear part of knowing who you really are. So you're integrating yourself with the modern times, and you know when to step back and resource on a good day, and then you're able to give and offer things. I think if you're up in the mountain in the cave or whatever, you're not actually part of society, so you kind of bypassing life. And I mean, I guess that's one choice. Maybe there are some souls that want to do that, but I think he was always one for rolling up his sleeves. In fact, I've got my white shirt on because he used to often wear white shirts, didn't he? Roll up your sleeves, get in there, and see how you can be of service.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about, service. Every conversation we had before live stream, what are we going to do next? obviously service, and that was his mindset. All the courses, all the live streams, all the interviews,
Yes.
service, every step of the way.
And there's a difference between serving and being of service, because being of service means that you know how to take care of yourself so that you can offer from a full well, which is what working with your dantian and then nourishing the heart gives you with this chi practice. Is if you're just serving others all the time without any thought for yourself, and I know you all know this, but we all need remembering, including me. If you keep serving without thinking that you need to go and have a little siesta every now and again, or you need to go for a walk, or you need to do whatever else is going to nourish your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body, your psychic awareness. You know, we are multidimensional beings, and to, as I said, come into the background presence will get you more in touch with what do I really need right here. You know, I often say to people around their energy, you know, reclaiming your energy, and I said, you know, when you reach for a cup of coffee, if you just spare the thought for like, what do I really need here? Is it coffee? Or is it something else? Because there's ways to plug into natural vitality, like this trusting the connection of the earth, like the connection to the cosmos, our heart connection with one another, gathering the energy from the elements in that will nurture you in a deeper way that is more sustaining than the quick blast of caffeine that's going to burn your adrenals out. I remember him rubbing my kidneys furiously once. We were on a workshop or something. I'm going, I didn't sleep much last night. Oh, rub your kidneys. And it was a ferocious rubbing. I'm like, whoa, because the kidneys are the seat of your prenatal chi. I don't know if you know about this stuff. You know about this stuff?
No, not really, no.
Okay, this is it's not just a story, it's actually the piece I wish I'd learned when I was younger. So in traditional Chinese medicine, of which Qigong is a part of, and of course, all the acupuncture that he did there. Oh, hi Teja, nice to see you. Was that underneath it all is that we are bequeathed a certain amount of energy, chi, when we're born as a gift from the mother and the father. So not only are they giving you physical life, they also give you a quotient of chi, which is said to sit around your kidney area. The kidneys are part of the water element. They're fundamental in your brain function and your nervous system and your ability to sort of process fear and discernment. And so when and as you probably know, your adrenal glands sit on top of the kidneys. So it's all very, very linked. But when you use up your kidney chi, when you use up your prenatal chi, you basically die, you know. So this is why you tend to get more iller the older you get. You know, we used to bounce back when we were in our 20s, it was easy. You could pull all-nighters and still go to work and all that kind of stuff. Can't do that anymore. Don't even want to do that anymore. But you know what I mean? It's that feeling. But so when I was first told this, because I burnt out spectacularly in my early 30s being a costume designer and performance artist, and I'm like, I feel so old. I remember my healer friend saying to me, yeah, your prenatal chi is shot. And I'm like, oh, mate, that sounds serious. He goes, well, it is. And I'm like, is there anything I can do about it? And he goes, yes, you can. And then that's when he started to introduce me to Qigong. It's the only exercise form that is dedicated to energy cultivation. So you are creating, or you're gathering the energy from nature or the elements as postnatal chi that comes into your dantian, which is your fundamental belly center, the source of all the foundational energy in the body, which connects directly into the Ming Men, the back of the spine and the kidney energies, and you can boost whatever prenatal chi you have left. And I'm like, give me some of that then. And that's kind of what I've been working with ever since. And I think that's a very important piece of information that I think helps us to understand why we need to do this daily, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I burnt a candle at both ends with a flamethrower when I was in my 20s. So yeah, a decade of abuse and addiction. And yeah, so I'm not saying it was the same for you, but in terms of burning my chi,
Yes. There are various substances involved. I'm not going to lie, because we experiment with this life that we have, and there's quite a lot of us ex-clubbers and hedonists that are coming into the healing arena because I think there's a search for joy. There's a search for heart connection with other people. And maybe we did it out in, when we used to go clubbing and stuff, but it was a little bit empty sometimes. You'd end up being a bit whacked because you'd a bit wasted. But with this practice, there's a sustained feeling of you've done yourself good and some. And so the joy that you get is like, really pucker. It's like top joy. And it infects it infects your energy field and encourages other people to also notice they have the joy spark within them too. Because if we're going to be here, we might as well find the fun. I know that he was all about that.
Yeah, I remember he was on London Real.
Oh yeah.
And he was asked the question, what do you recommend to eat and practices to live, to be clean living and all that. And he stopped and he went, you do know I've lived life in the fast lane, so I'm probably not the best person to speak on those subjects. It's not the answer they were expecting, but how was that for honesty? Yes.
Exactly. I remember when because I used to do a lot of online stuff with him. So the mentoring would happen by email. And then I met him at a Mind, Body, Spirit gig. I remember taking his book, The Man That Drove with His Eyes Closed. Excellent book, if anybody knows that one. Got him to sign it. And then I asked him to come into Chi Time, which is my radio show. And he really supported me on that. He was great. And I remember he actually used to come to the forest to visit some friends, and he dropped down one day to do an interview live into a place that I was house sitting in, because we had that in common as well, because he was of no fixed abode for several years. And I remember saying to him after we'd made him a coffee and everything, my friend was there as well. I said to him, so have you got any vices? And he nearly spat his coffee out. He goes, where do you want me to be in? And it's like, but I have ways of managing myself now. It's like, and I think it's important for us to not put ourselves on some sort of pedestal and going, I'm holier than thou. I never drink, smoke, or that kind of stuff. It's like you do what you do in your time off, and then you know how to manage yourself, and with tools and techniques that help you to clear and detox. So my life is a lot cleaner than it used to be through choice. But I do like a nifty spiritual gin and tonic every now and again, that kind of, but not to the excess that I used to. And I listen to my body as to what it needs. Usually water is what it needs. So I think that was quite good to dispel that myth that you have to be completely pure, title of one of his books, to be able to be effective at these kind of practices. Much
I'm the same these days. What I drink mainly is water. That's because that's what I need most of. But now and again, I'll go out for a few drinks, and after all the days these days, like 3 drinks is the maximum. I might have less than that, but I never have more. Three's the maximum. So I don't want to lose the next day. It's like, wow, God.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to take you through a little process about coming into your back, because I know that was something that we spoke about wanting to share about. But I did a quick fluger to look, is there anything in here? But what I came across, which I think is really important to remind us all, is this topic of centering. And you'll see why I've chosen this when we get into doing the practice, because it's reminding us that not only is being in our back a really important self-presencing, but also reclaiming your belly zone, your dantian, that he spells tantien. Doesn't matter how you spell it. It's D-A-N or T-A-N-T-I-E-N. And we've got 3 dantian, one in the belly, which is exists co-spatially with the sacral chakra, one in the sternum that kind of exists co-spatially with the heart, but also I've got a feeling that takes in the solar plexus as well, a little bit. And then we've got the 3rd eye, which is the upper dantian, which is the place of all, yes, psychic awareness and all of that. But it all starts with how you center and where you place your energy, because you know that track that he did with Russell Leak called Get Spanky.
Yeah, great track. Yes.
What you focus on grows. It simply does. So here he is. This is 1998. Probably the first time in print that he's spoken about this area. Wherever your thought goes, your chi will follow. Centering is a psychophysical device for gathering your chi around a single point, located, you're saying 1¼ inches from your navel. I'd say 2 fingers width down and 2 fingers width in, just by simply thinking or dropping your awareness there. And I would add, opening your curiosity. What is this space? What is she going on about? What do you mean? Go in there with your curiosity cap on, right? Once gathered, your chi becomes like a unified shape. And he'd always talk about this unified force, wouldn't he? Of your mind, body, spirit as a unified force. Very powerful. This Dantian place is the center place for that. And it's a hub around which the outside world rotates. It's like the rim of a wheel. Now, if you've heard his track, The Stillness at the Heart of the Universe, which is on my SoundCloud, Clara Apollo's Chi Time, I put quite a lot of Barefoot Doctor stuff up on there so that you can access it. Beautiful track. This is a meditation set to music years ago that talks about you being just the center. Stillness, the only place that you can actually experience stillness is in the center of your Dantian. And it is like the hub of the wheel, so that everything else circles around that. But you, in your stillness, this is where you come into your presence place there. Again, we can put links to all of this underneath whatever I'm chatting about. Yeah, that comes through. I can so feel him here. So centered thus, in the midst of events, your thoughts will be clear, enabling you to make clearer choices, and your energy will be collected, ready to be issued to support those choices. Your center, he suggests, lays dormant and inactive until you think it into existence. I would love to have a chat with him about that sentence. But anyway, getting back to where you place your mind, where your intention's going. And if you're placing it down, so the end of all Qigong practice, you return everything back to the Dantian. If you feel any kind of being out of sorts of any way, crossed hands at the lower Dantian on your belly, grounded into the earth, breath in, out, you're into your center. And you know, this place is physiologically, it's the center of your balance. So you can bring an affirmation into that when you're crossed hands down, and you can breathe in and say, I am balance. I am
balance.
I am balance. And because that's the balance place, and it's the center of this magical zone, which is a rechargeable battery unit, it's going to take that energy, and because it's already a truth, it will ripple throughout your whole system. And each and every one of your cells, which in themselves, your cells themselves, are always searching for balance. So if balance is your birthright, you have a right to know how to connect to it. And into the Dantian like this is a surefire way of being really clear. I am balance.
You can feel the presence and the calmness, just seeing that affirmation. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he has a great story, actually. He says, imagine your chi is a pile of extremely valuable gold coins which have been scattered across the floor of your local shopping mall, and your center, below your navel, is a pot. And the idea is to gather up all the coins and get them into that pot as swiftly and as efficiently as you can before any of the happy shoppers can get there first. And you have to do it with as little fuss as possible, and avoiding attracting undue attention to the coins. And then once you've got all the coins back in the pot, sit back and congratulate yourself because you're rich. Love that image. Because we scatter our energy, we scatter our thoughts. We're over here, we're over there. You know, we're being pulled in all sorts of directions in this crazy life. But we have every right to choose to gather it back in. whichever way that you want to do that. So yeah, he says if your chi is scattered like those coins, it will prevent you from being fully present with what you're doing, which means you're leaking chi, which is like pissing your life away, and should be avoided wherever possible. And this is really central to what the teachings that I share. So centering empowers you, and scattering dissipates you. So you've got to start getting good at gathering yourself around your center through repeated practice. And this is what I want to do to you. I know it's been a bit of a preamble, but we're getting to the bit where I'm going to actually like share a little practice with you, unless you want to continue chatting about.
No, I think we're about the half-hour point. So yeah, I think it'd be a great time to start.
We're good. Okay, so this, I am going to suggest you do it standing. I'm realizing that I'm not standing back far enough. You're not going to be able to see me very well because I usually push everything back, but I've been on several, funnily enough, been on several meetings today. But you can sit. Danny is going to do the seated version.
Yeah, because if I stand up, I'll knock my green screen behind me. It's kind of, yeah, it's just not
so
ideal.
Okay. Let's just, so remember I was talking about the crossed hand position at Dantian?
Yeah.
Right, let's do this properly. This isn't just any old crossed hand. This is the Lao Gong, the center point, the healing chakra point on your hand. Super powerful place, part of the pericardium channel. So it's a fire, it's a heart energy. What we're going to do is place one hand over the other so that these Lao Gongs are in alignment already. And then you're going to place them just below your belly button. You'll feel where that is. You're tuning in with the front door of the Dantian that's called the Chi Hai. Say hi to your Chi in your belly. And just letting your feet be hip width apart or a little bit more. If you're sitting, feet, knees, hips in alignment. And just breathe here. Dropping your awareness into this magical place with curiosity. Knowing that you're centering yourself deeply, profoundly. So I want you to imagine that your Dantian is like a golden orb. It is. And I say golden because golden is the most high vibrational color. So I'm not just talking about the color gold. I'm talking about I'm feeling into the qualities of the most precious treasure inside of you. So the orb may be a different color for you. It might be whatever size it wants to be. It's not about the size, it's about your presencing yourself in this zone. But this orb is not still. This orb is rotating, and I want you to, with your mind, ask it to rotate in an anti-clockwise direction. And let your physical body express that if it wants to. So the internal alchemy is the initiating the movement from the inside, and the physical body can join in if it wants, or you can stay with the meditational aspect of the inside rotating. Now, and the anti-clockwise direction is really about unwinding all the old stuff, clearing it out. So you may like to imagine that this golden ball is turning around your pelvis, smoothing, soothing, and kinding yourself on the inside. So you're raising the vibration of your sacral chakra, Dantian zone, your base chakra, that whole fundamental foundational arena. And anything that is not in alignment with that will travel down your legs, through your roots and into the earth. Because, of course, we're already rooted, aren't we? Sorry, what to do that. But we have spoken about connecting to Great Grandmother Earth, gratitude and appreciation, and letting whatever needs to leave you travel down deep into the earth to be transformed. Now, you may get a sense that there's a flow down more down the back of your legs and the sides of your legs. This is the water channels and the earth channels that are naturally aligned with clearing. And it may be also nice to just kind of, when you have a shower or something and you're letting the water just patter on your shoulders and your back, to know that you're not just clearing physically with water, you're also clearing energetically with that downward stream of negative ions, which is what falling water produces. So we've done quite a few revolutions in the anti-clockwise direction. We're going to ask the dantian to change direction by using an S-shaped squiggle, so it moves gently through the middle to bring the movement out into a clockwise direction. Now we're starting to build and gather the chi. The chi will then be traveling up the inside of the legs, up the bladder and up the kidney, the water channels, and the spleen, the earth channels. These are the receiving channels. So you've cleared out, you've created space, and now you can receive. And we're doing all this in preparation to come into a deeper sense of the background presence. So just rolling round and rolling round. And of course, it's fantastic if you're standing and doing this to let your hips move in a sort of sensual, easy way, clearing stagnation in the hip joints, so that allows the flow of chi to be more easily received. I love the idea of us all, whenever we're watching this and replay, that we're all tuning into this golden orb in our bellies. It's powerful work, people. Oh, so it saves me so many times, this presencing in your belly piece. So now part of a Qigong energy cultivation is the gathering in of the energy that you've created through the movement. So we're going to let this turning begin to spiral in, slowly spiraling in, being drawn into that one point at the very epicenter of your dantian, that place of peace and stillness. And when you get there, I am balance. I am balance. I am balance. I am peace. I am calm. I am in my power. And anything else that you want to add that you're really feeling right now. So while we're just holding this space, I'm going to tell you a little barefoot story. And this is to do with your destiny. And it explains why we need to keep coming back into our back. And Stephen would say, you know, your destiny is already coming for you. You don't need to rush towards it. Rather ride the energy of time, ride the energy of the elements of the chi. And this movement that I'm going to share with you now is the backwards rolling motion, which is a pretty intermediate internal alchemy thing. But I think this is the one that really helped me and helps me continuously to drop back into my back. So I want you to imagine this golden ball now beginning to rotate backwards. Really aware of your sacrum, the back of your pelvis. Maybe there's some movement, maybe there's not, but you're rolling backwards and you're sitting in the saddle. You're sitting in the saddle of the ride of your life. Because you don't need to rush ahead. You just need to ride it. So traditionally would do 9 of these, or several 9s of these, 9 being the completion number in the Taoist practices. I've lost count. But that feeling of rolling into your back, rolling into your support, your background presence. And again, just like we did before, let the movement become smaller and smaller and spiral it in to that centered space of stillness. Completely surrender and ease and see what you notice. I'm going to invite in the golden flow, nourishing the sacrum and the pelvis, and being drawn up each and every one of your vertebrae, bringing you into the power and the strength of your spine and the energy channels therein. Feeling the breadth of your back and the length, back of your shoulders, back of your neck, and the back of your head. And just closing your eyes. And being aware of your golden orb in your belly that is supporting the golden rose in your heart. That in itself supports, is a foundation for the cave of the eternal spirit in your mind. This is a crystal cave with an aperture out front that you can view the cosmos, or as Danny was saying yesterday, the Buddha that is you. I love that, by the way. It was a good one. But here, this is another thing that Stephen used to talk about, was imagining at the back of the cave, on the back wall of the cave, there is a whole range of sumptuous, exotic cushions. And you just want to shuffle yourself back there. Smooth flow back in to the back of the cave and find a really relaxed place to be. Feeling the support in the back of your arms, as well as the length of your back and the back of your legs. Super comfy, super supported. Being aware of behind you are your ancestors, all of those that have enabled you to have existence now. You can feel their support as well, your long line of ancestors. Sending them gratitude for your heart, from your heart to theirs, as you sink into their support, their kindness. And trust your heart. As you gaze through the aperture at the front of your third eye into the cosmos, into the unknown, into the spirit realm of wisdom and light in all its forms, love and healing, and the infinite wisdom that is there for us to connect in with our cosmic families, the connection we have with our benevolent friends on the other side of the veil, of which Barefoot Stephen is definitely one. And your angels and your guides. Just feel yourself receiving the light. Filling yourself up with light. Maybe asking Stephen to come in now and give you a message. What would he like to say? Just to complete, like to ring this heart bowl as we tune into our hearts, the hearts of everyone here on the call, the hearts of the people that we love, the hearts of the people that we've found trickiness with, the hearts all around the globe of all the people with beating hearts, all the animals with beating hearts, all the fish with beating hearts, all of this heart chi in the world now connecting, unifying through this web of light and love and ingenuity and ability to be one love. All is well for right here and now. Thank you, thank you. Thank you to Father Sky, Mother Earth, all the elements, all of you, Barefoot Stephen and Danny. Muchas gracias. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's remember the inner smile. So he's here saying, remember to smile from the inside, Tiara. He used to call me Clara Tiara. And it reminds me of a track called Smile by him and Green Rabbit that you can find on Spotify. And it's a beautiful, poignant track now. But it starts with, I knew a man who used to wake up every morning and smile. And that's how he starts the track. And yeah, I think that would be a beautiful one to share with people here. But remembering that the inner smile, the healing smile, gives you a lightness on the inside. It raises your vibration, and it reminds you not to take life too seriously. It is all a game after all, and each and every one of us are players. So yeah, ride your chi, roll backwards, and be, and be, and be, and be.
Thank you.
So
That was quite profound, peaceful. Felt the waves of energy.
Mhm. Mhm. Oh. Mm. There's something very precious about us gathering in our barefoot tribe to continue. It's something he used to call us together for satsangs or for events, this communing. And you're doing brilliantly, Danny, and keeping, your Facebook page going around it all, and for keeping Stephen's presence fresh and relevant. And we often chat behind the scenes. Well, not as often as I'd like, but we do, don't we? We have exchange.
Yeah.
We know that the mutual support is there. And someone like Teja, she's there too. I only know her through Stephen, and of course Sarah Lukchai as well. And okay, well, let's not get into naming loads of people that we know through Stephen, but there is a Barefoot tribe here. And so there's another bit of information that I've just found out about that I think will really hearten you all, just to round this off. I just had a message from Catherine, my friend Catherine Dempsey Williams, who said that she had been on Stephen's son's Instagram, Mike Russell, with 3 L's at the end, if you want to find him. And there's a celebration on Wednesday, which was would have been Stephen's 69th birthday. And his eldest son got married, and all the boys are together, and there's pictures of them together, and there was such a joyous kind of energy there through all of them. And I'd been kind of missing. I didn't know what had been going on with them, and then to see their photos, their pictures, and have Stephen's energy coming through his 3 boys, and now the lovely Hannah has become Joe's wife, and it's like, oh, the next chapter is opening for Stephen's family. And I really felt that heart connection through all time and space with that. And so I just, wanted to share it with you all.
What a beautiful story. I wasn't aware of any of that either.
Well, it was new to me. It only came in about a couple of hours before going live here. So, but yeah, so I'd like to know that.
Thank you so much, Teja. You know, so cool it is. I'm going to put some pertinent links in the description when we finish.
Yes.
The tracks you mentioned, and how and where people can contact you, reach out to you.
Yes. So it's the claraapollo.com, also the Chi Portal app, which is there to serve as well as it can, to bring us into the repetition of these practices and the variety of them according to what it is you need. And of course, Chi Time TV, which has got episodes with Stephen on that I know you've seen, and other people as well. And just, I found some more tracks. So I've got a Spotify list called Trust Barefoot that you're welcome to come into. And if you've got any other tracks that you find on Spotify that you'd like me to add, just let me know. But I found a new one today that I'd never heard before. And I thought, great, it's lovely. And yeah, some of the microdoses are starting to get out as well. I shared one with you as well. And I think Stephen would want this. He would want as much of his legacy to be shared as possible. And I wonder why that he wasn't affiliated with any record companies or publishing companies, and it means that we can share this freely, and that feels like a real gift. So let's just keep sharing between us all, and also remembering within ourselves what he was teaching us. So important, so very important in this day and age, to know how to presence yourself, be in your power, and to be able to be of service to the highest caliber, because you know how to look after yourself first.
Amen to all of that. And what a note to end on. Thank you, Clara. That was beautiful. You gave loads of service, and you presented that like a boss.
Bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Teja, for being on live, and anybody else who hasn't sort of left a message. If you're watching the replay, please do leave your comments. We'll circle back to you. If you've been watching on YouTube, this will be on YouTube as well. Thank you as well. And TJ, just see it's so wonderful that Stephen connected us all. Yes, let's keep sharing. Much love. Yep. Much love to you all, and bye for now.